I'm going to show you the single most important concept when you're creating your outbound campaign. Whether you're doing cold emailing, cold LinkedIn messaging, you're sending direct messages on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, getting this down correctly from the beginning can be the difference in having a campaign that produces qualified, booked appointments on autopilot and one that ends up in crickets and no response. This concept is incredibly simple. It's called the personalization spectrum. And essentially the idea behind it is that when you first start creating your outbound messaging, what you need to understand is that everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? Everyone loves to hear their own name and to be recognized or appreciated for something that they're doing. And what we do as marketers and lead generators, or even just a business owner trying to look for some more business, is look for that personalization and leverage it in our messaging in order to increase open rates and response rates. And one of the best ways that I figured out to do that is to add a line of text is the first line inside your outbound campaign where you are adding some line of personalization, recognizing something they've done, recognizing that you've done a little bit of research in their business, and you're not just sending the same cold message to 5,000 people, which is likely going to end up in no response. At our company, Scaling with Systems, we build client acquisition systems for our clients. And so I've had the benefit of not only personally sending out tens of thousands of cold emails to potential prospects, but also I've had the benefit of analyzing and iterating thousands of cold messages across hundreds of different industries. And the one common factor that I've seen for a successful versus an unsuccessful campaign is the level of personalization. And what we have to remember is that whenever we're adding in more personalization, which is on the right side of the spectrum right here, we are most likely doing less messaging, right? Because if you are spending the time in order to research and figure out, the person's name, the company's name, have they won any awards, what kind of ads are they running, what does their website look like, that's going to take more time than obviously just downloading a list and blasting it out, which would be more on the left side of the spectrum over here, which is not personalized. But what you need to do is find kind of a middle ground between these two things here, where you're adding personalization, but not so much personalization that you can only send 5 to 10 messages out. And that's why what we found is, like, if I had to put on the spectrum your messaging, what level of personalization it should be, I typically fall just on the side of personalized, but we're not all the way over here, right? Because I have noticed, just like many things in life, there is a point of diminishing returns, meaning that you could go as far as to tell them, what color their curtains are and how you like their new car they just bought, but at some point that additional level of personalization won't be the difference and you getting a higher booking rate and a higher closing rate from your outbound messaging. Instead, like I said before, just adding one line of personalization and in the first line of your messaging can have a huge impact on the response rate and booking rate of your messaging. And a lot of times whenever we have clients first come to us and they're doing outbound messaging, most of the time they have no personalization. And so they're just saying, hey, the reason I'm reaching out is because I help real estate agents acquire more clients. And so they're coming all the way over on this far side and they're sending 3,000 emails a day and they're wondering why they're not getting any booked calls or any closed deals from it. And what we like to see is in that same example, instead of saying, hey, we help real estate agents get more clients, we might add a little bit of personalization and say, hey, Bob, saw that you were a top Zillow agent in the Atlanta area. The reason why I was reaching out is because we help top Zillow agents in metropolitan cities like Atlanta acquire more clients without having to spend money on paid advertising, sit in front of your phone all day long or make any cold calls. Right? So now we have taken the personalization of Bob Life and we've added that into the first line of the campaign. It might have taken us 3 more minutes per message to identify that they're a premier agent on Zillow, they're a top agent in the Atlanta market, and then we slip that inside of there, and all of a sudden it looks like we created this personal message only for Bob, and because of that, Bob feels almost obligated to at the very least respond back. But if you have a good enough offer, respond back, book a call, and become a client.